Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash, Season 4. And this is going to be my trailer breakdown for episode 22 of this season. I can't believe I'm saying that. So this is the second last episode, the penultimate episode this season, otherwise entitled Think Fast. But of course, before we get into the rest of the video, let's actually watch that trailer.
We've got 12 hours until the Enlightenment.
People will become curious again, and I will be there to teach them.
I can't do this by myself. Train us. Bring us into Flash time with you. Is that lightning about to hit me? You're not ready to use Flash time.
What are you willing to do for the world?
We deserve to make the choice to be a hero.
And God said, let there be light.
The Flash, only this Tuesday at 8/7 Central on the CW.
So last episode was like, it was a filler episode, one of the biggest filler episodes you'll ever get. Like, you really can't sugarcoat it. There was maybe like one thing that can really carry on into these last two episodes. But apart from that, it was essentially filler. Now, a lot of people were annoyed by that and very disappointed, and I can understand that. For me personally, and I guess anyone else that does YouTube videos on this, it was expected because we all knew what was going to happen thanks to the trailers and even the promo images and stuff like that. But also in previous seasons, there's always one filler episode in the last like 2 or 3 episodes. So it was inevitably going to happen, and it was just, I guess, unfortunate if you want to say that it was this episode. But I'd prefer it be episode 21 that's the filler rather than 22, because I think last season had basically a filler episode in 22. In episode 22, might I say, and it just didn't work that well. So I'd prefer that it was in episode 21 if I had to make a choice. But yeah, really the big parts to take from last episode were Caitlin with the whole Killer Frost thing and it being a placebo rather than being like an instant fix. So it's really something for Caitlin to figure out going forward. And then we also had Team Flash figuring out that Marlies has left DeVoe. So that's most likely gonna come out again in this episode. We don't see anything from it or hinting at it in the trailer or the promo images for the episode, so it could just be like a little side thing, maybe, or we see it at the end of the episode. We'll have to wait and see. But before we jump into the actual breakdown of the trailer, we will quickly go over the synopsis or description for this episode, as it does give us a better idea as to what's going on throughout this episode for the most part. But before that, be sure to let me know in the comments section down below your various opinions on what we go over in this trailer, what catches your eye, what you're looking forward to the most. Just leave all of those opinions downstairs in the comments. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on the video to show support, especially seeing it's the last couple of episodes of The Flash. That would be awesome. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. When DeVoe assaults an Argus facility to complete his Enlightenment machine, Barry realizes the only way he can stop him is if he allows Cisco and Caitlin to accompany him into the facility. Still shaken by Ralph's death, Barry isn't sure he wants to risk any more of his friends' lives and considers taking on DeVoe solo. So as they say right at the beginning of this trailer, there's 12 hours until the Enlightenment. So basically, this is confirming that the Enlightenment thing, whether it's going to launch or whether it's not going to launch, will be solved in this episode, or it'll be covered in this episode. This episode and the finale isn't going to be within a 12-hour period. This is going to be sorted out in this episode. So Team Flash has to stop it, or it's going to be launched by the end of the episode, but we will dive into whether it will or won't be launched later on in the video. But we do hear DeVoe say, and this is exactly what he says, "People will become curious again, and I will be there to teach them." So I'm guessing Barry asks him why he's doing it, and that's the response that DeVoe gives. Now, this is an awesome quote, and I love this line from DeVoe because a lot of people have been comparing, it's just because the movie's out, but a lot of people have been comparing DeVoe to Thanos, and not because they look the same, because, well, they don't, but Thanos throughout Infinity War, without spoiling anything if you haven't seen it, believes what he's doing is right. He thinks he's the hero of his own story, and that's what the best villain is, or at least what makes a really good villain story. And that's what DeVoe is doing. He thinks what he is doing is the best for mankind. He thinks he is the hero of his own story. Even if he has to kill people along the way, he thinks what he is doing at the end goal is better for mankind, and it's worth sacrificing a handful of lives for it. That's, for me, what's making DeVoe such a captivating villain, because in the past, even though like Zoom, Reverse Flash were good, like let's not talk about Savitar, but I really like it when you can understand why a villain is doing something, and you can understand like the motivations behind it, and you can see the little steps that they're going through to achieve that plan. I just love him. So that's why I think DeVoe has been a good villain. And I know people like whinge and cry about, oh, it's not a speedster villain. But what's a speedster villain can run fast? You know, most of the time they don't really have too much of a backing behind them. DeVoe's storyline has, you know, for the most part, been pretty interesting, and I'm very excited to see how it ends. Obviously, I don't think DeVoe's going to win, but I'm still excited to see how it all wraps up and get more lines like this from DeVoe, because I think he's had some really good one-liners and one-on-one conversations with Barry throughout this season. Now, Caitlin and Cisco want to be brought into Flash time and be able to last longer when Barry is at full energy. Now, if we go back to episode 15 of this season, which was one of the best filler episodes we'll ever get, which was otherwise called Enter Flash Time, Iris was the only one who was able to really last a bit longer than the others, which wasn't that long, but that was really due to Barry being tired, so he wasn't moving as fast as he was when, you know, he first interacted with, well, I guess it was Killer Frost at the time, Cisco, and then when, like, Jesse and Jay had to drop out and stuff, and then even Harry as well. So I'm guessing what Barry wants to do is just train them so they don't necessarily able to last the whole time in Flash time, because I think that's unrealistic. You know, I don't think it's really going to make too much sense, but last like 3 times longer than they did initially back in episode 15. And even then, Barry might not have to move as fast, so they can last longer. Now, I'm not too sure if this is to do stuff in Star Labs, like equations and all the scientific stuff, or if this is when Caitlin and Cisco and Barry finally get into Argus and to use that when they're in Argus. So I don't know necessarily when they're going to use this flash time ability, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. They're obviously not going to reveal everything in the trailer. But what Barry could also be doing here is actually transferring his speed so Cisco and Caitlin temporarily, now stress that, temporarily become speedsters. I know that sounds strange, but in the comics, that's a thing. Was it Wally? They could do it? Anyway, it's a thing in the comics. They can technically, you know, transfer speed temporarily, even permanently in some cases, but on the show, it's going to be temporary. You can see, like, Caitlin walking with, like, lightning around her legs. So this is going to be interesting to see how it's played off. And it also is a good thing because earlier in the season, I think even before the season started, the producer, Todd Helbing, did say, like, oh, Barry's going to have all these new powers and stuff. And we've seen one. We've seen one, which is the, you know, flash time, which is, you know, being able to touch someone and make them, you know, speed up, if you want to call it. So they're in Barry's flash time. So it's just an extension of it, but it's technically a new power at the same time. So if this is the case, really cool, but could be pretty overpowered down the lines. And also could be something where maybe the writers just forget it and just forget that Barry can use his ability. But we'll have to wait and see. But let me know if you think this is going to happen, because I think it's a pretty cool ability if it does happen. Now, as the synopsis does say, Barry doesn't want to risk any more of his friends' lives following the death of Ralph Dibny, but Cisco and Caitlin are determined to help. They are both heroes as much as Barry is, and hopefully Barry realizes that throughout the episode, because the show doesn't do this thing where they try to represent Barry as he's just like ignorant and just doesn't understand things, when Barry's much smarter than that. So hopefully that's, you know, highlighted in this episode. Like, Cisco and Caitlin have really been sidelined this season. Now, I'm not going to go in depth as to why that is, as others may get pressed and triggered, so I'm just going to avoid that. So it really is going to be great seeing the OG3, like the original Team Flash, because, you know, if you take out Wells, because he was evil, it was like, you know, Cisco, Caitlin, and Barry. They were like the original 3. So it's really going to be cool seeing them working together again in this episode. Now, DeVoe's going to Argus in this episode, and you might be wondering, Pagey, why is he going to Argus? Well, that's where Fallout is. So remember a couple of episodes ago, was it episode 19? When Fallout was there, they had Citizen Cold coming in, they transported him. Well, he got put in Argus. That's where they're keeping him. And DeVoe needs Fallout, most likely to power up his devices, and that is what we see here. Like, this is Fallout going all green. I looked at the comment section for this trailer, and people were confused, like, who's in the thing getting lit up? And I was like, it's Fallout. Have you not been paying attention this season? But throughout this episode, apparently, I'm not 100% sure if this is confirmed. I think it was in one of the, you know, like, Entertainment Weekly or something, like one of those news scoops, but apparently DeVoe is meant to impersonate Diggle at some point, and I'm guessing it's just so DeVoe can get into Argus, because this is most likely a high security area, and Diggle would most likely have that security clearance. So DeVoe's most likely just impersonating Diggle, getting into that area, maybe killing the other people that are in there, and then using Fallout to power his device. So I'm guessing that's what's going to happen. Now, the proper Diggle, like the real Diggle, not DeVoe impersonating Diggle, will be in this episode. We did see him in the promo images as well. He's not in this trailer, I'm pretty sure. Now, his involvement is probably just around Team Flash letting him know of what DeVoe could be up to, and that they will be getting involved. So don't shoot Team Flash. Like, if you see us in the Argus facility, you know, keep your weapons down. Don't point them up at us. Point them at that guy that is DeVoe, who could be looking like someone else. So maybe just don't shoot anyone and just stay alert. But I think this could just be like one of those typical Diggle cameos in The Flash. Like he'll be in a bit of the episode. Like the only episode I can think of that Diggle was a decent part of was the King Shark episode from, was it last season? Yeah, last season or the season before, one of the two. So I'm just expecting maybe like a 5-10 minute cameo from Diggle. In regards to the cliffhanger, because this is the second last episode this season, we should get a cliffhanger that leads into the finale. Now, my guess is based off what I just was the first thing I talked about from this trailer, and that is that there's 12 hours until the Enlightenment. So my guess is that the cliffhanger is the Enlightenment being launched. So I guess the big thing around the Enlightenment is how quickly it affects everyone. Is it going to be like Harry, where he's, you know, use the thinking cap, and he's basically suffering the effects of what the Enlightenment should roughly be. So is everyone on Earth, once they're affected by what DeVoe is doing, is it going to take as long as Harry is to get to like that reboot stage, or is it like a snap of a finger like Thanos, I guess, and everyone's just rebooted? Is that what it's going to be like? We have to wait and see. It's not 100% explained. It might get explained in this episode, but if it's one of the cases where it takes a while for everyone's memories or minds and stuff to get rebooted, that gives Team Flash time to try and stop it in the finale. But if it's like an instant thing, then I'm interested to see what happens there. But let me know what you think. The Mystery Girl. People have been asking, when's the Mystery Girl going to show up again? I was like, dudes, she appeared in episode 20. Like, you know, it's not like it's been half a season. We know she's in the finale. She might appear in this episode towards the end, but as I said, the cliffhanger will most likely be the Enlightenment being launched. So maybe they might save Mystery Girl till the finale, but don't be surprised if she does show up. But Marley's joining Team Flash could be a possible thing that happens throughout this episode, and maybe that's something that Iris is doing throughout the episode, is looking for Marley's, because we know that Cisco, Caitlin, and Barry are all going to Argus. So what is Iris doing? And maybe what is Harry doing in this episode? Maybe they could be going after Marley's and trying to rope her in to try and stop what DeVoe is doing. But if she doesn't show up in this episode, Marley's, then I would expect her in the finale. To be in the finale. But as I said, I'm guessing that's maybe what Iris is doing throughout this episode. Now, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about, and that's once again something that I saw in the comment section. Once again for this episode, people saying that this looks like a filler. This episode looks like a filler. It's clearly not. It is clearly not a filler. Like, one, it's got a bus metahuman in there with Fallout, so automatically not a filler. We've already gone over that this season. As soon as a bus metahuman is in an episode, it's not filler. You got DeVoe in there. It's the launch of his Enlightenment plan, which is his big bad plan for the end of the season. So, how is this still a filler? Anyone want to let me know in the comments why it's a filler? Because it's obviously not. But if you want to debate it and say that it is, then let me know. Because I was scratching my head at the comment section of the trailer. I was like, okay, did people miss half the trailer, if not 3/4 of it? Anyway, but thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'll be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions. What do you think of the trailer? What are you looking forward to the most? What are your different thoughts on stuff I went over in this video? Just let me know all that in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys, and goodbye.